Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful. And if you're on the East Coast, I hope that you're surviving everything that's going on there. So this happened. You know, little Dungeons and Dragons stuff happened. When my girls first told me that they wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, I looked and decided to buy the starter set, and I figured that was a good way to jump in for two people who they had never played D&D before, and I wanted to just introduce them to the game. And I haven't played in 15 years, so I needed to kind of reacquaint myself. But I didn't want to buy the core books right off the bat, because this is like, you know, even on Amazon with free shipping and the discounts, this is still over $100 in books. So I didn't want to buy that right off the gate, because I wasn't sure if we were going to continue to play. And the fact of the matter is we haven't. We've played one session. We played through the first encounter, well, an encounter and a half of the adventure that comes in the starter kit. And we are at the point where they kind of, you know, go through their first quote-unquote dungeon, and we haven't even played since then. We didn't play on this at all this weekend. I don't think anybody was really feeling it. I have them tomorrow, and I'm hopefully we're going to play tomorrow. We'll get everything set up before they get here. I'll draw out the first room of the cave and try to get them going, and we'll just dive right in. But despite the fact that they haven't really pushed to play, I went and bought the rest of the stuff. By the rest of the stuff, I mean the core stuff. I don't have really any interest in buying any of the extras currently, but I needed the core stuff, and I bought the Essentials kit mainly for the DM screen and well, that's really about it. If you're going to buy this stuff, then this kit is kind of superfluous, because really all this does is give you a very trimmed down version of the character creation rules that are in the player's handbook, and it gives you a very trimmed down version of NPCs, or I think they call them tag-alongs or support characters, or I don't remember what it's called. Sidekicks. It gives you a very trimmed down version of that, but essentially I like the DM screen that's in this box, and it's basically, for this box, it's the same price as the regular DM screen. So I decided to buy this because there is an adventure in here, so we can play. There's more material to play. There is a set of dice. They're but they're dice, and I like the GM screen, and there's some blank character sheets. I mean, to me it was worth the. It's like $2 more for this over the just generic DM screen, so I bought it. But anyway, the point of all this is, even though the girls haven't expressed interest in playing much, my Polish friend Ignacy has. Now, Ignacy is the owner and CEO of Portal Games, the company that I worked for a lot of years, and he said, I got an idea and I want you to hear me out. His birthday is next month, and he has asked for me to run him a game, just a one-shot, 3-4 hour session of us just playing some basic D&D. And if you don't know Ignacy, he literally wrote the book on role-playing. He started in the 90s. Portal Games started as a role-playing company that wrote a magazine based on role-playing games. And at that time, role-playing games had kind of just hit the scene in Poland and were becoming huge. And in his vision, in his mind's eye, the role-playing scene that developed in Poland became very, very narrative-driven. The rules were just super light. It was all narrative. And so I guess he has a perception that classic American D&D, like the classic how you used to play this game, was very much just kind of combat-driven or dungeon crawl or whatever. And so he wants me to run a game. Part of the reason is that I told him, if you don't know this, Ignacy has confirmed that Portal will be doing a dungeon crawling board game. And so I think part of him asking me to do this is a little bit of research for that, because he's not really played a dungeon crawl RPG. He's done the Polish style, the narrative driven, the epic stories, and really having grand adventures over going through dungeon sessions and traps and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So he wants to experience the American style, is what he called it. I want to experience the American style of classic D&D. And I said, sure, I will run that for you. I used to run games all the time. So I decided to buy all of this essentially for study material. I don't know that I need it, honestly. To run a game of D&D, if you've never played a role-playing game, you don't need all of the books and all of the dice and all of the things. Really what this is inspiration, is the way that I always looked at role-playing books. Reading these books often gives you lore, it often gives you ideas on how to build fun and creative characters, but you don't need this book to do that. You can come up with that on your own. And truthfully, what comes in the starter set and what comes in this Essentials kit, you could have fun forever with just those materials. You don't need to have all of this extra stuff. The extra stuff is mostly just inspiration. You can create monsters of your own and come up with ideas of your own. This is literally just monster ideas. It's not, this isn't required. This is just like, if you want to play the classic, you know, you want to use displacer beasts and you want to use bugbears or whatever, they're in here, and you don't have to come up with your own stats. But you totally could. You could just not use this at all and use what's in the starter set and build your own stuff based on that. But I bought it because I need the inspiration. I bought it because I'm probably going to design a quick little scenario, little dungeon crawl, little adventure for them. It's going to be Ignacy and probably 3 to 4 other Polish-speaking players that you know, haven't met me. A couple of them have, but we'll see what happens. And I need to probably read his book to get some insight on how he expects this to all work out. But I've got a month to prepare, so I'm going to be reading some D&D stuff and setting up some scenarios and adventures for him. We'll see how that works out. I'll keep you updated, I'm sure. That's what I have for you today. If you have any advice, or if you are a GM and you are interested in running a one-shot for me, or just like maybe even a mini-series of D&D games, I'd be very interested in playing some D&D, because it's been a very long time since I've been a player. It's been longer. I haven't been a player. I've been a DM in the last 15 years. I haven't been a player in probably 20. So I would be very interested in playing in some games. I cannot commit to anything, you know. I just don't have time to say, yeah, I'll be there every Sunday or whatever. But if you're interested in having me play along, or you know, running a little game for me, I would totally be down. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I will see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is bugaboo. It is a noun meaning something that causes fear and worry, often needlessly. Angela caused a bugaboo when she informed her family that she was leaving the Episcopal Church. Bugaboo. B-U-G-A-B-O-O.